All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about your cause and effect paper for Of Mice and Men. Okay, so first off, we're going to start off with a couple of short little movies. So grab the popcorn and sit back and enjoy.
Take 43.
Take 17, 16, verdict to do.
Take 8. Take 42.
Take 3.
So first off, a Mice and Men Cause and Effect essay. The due date for this, if you follow along on your sheet of paper, is May the 5th. Requirements. It's a shorter essay. You have one introductory paragraph. The introduction must do the following. Must have an attention grabber. Perhaps you're going to connect it to the idea of causes and the effects that they have, but you want to make sure that it is a clear introduction that maybe asks a question or gives us a situation that deals with cause and effect of some kind, but something other than just simply jumping into the background of the story. Then, of course, you want to have the title of the book, of Mice and Men, and the author stated, and a basic overview of the novel. Not too much, but not too little. So one sentence overview, probably not enough. The entire novella described to us in 7 or 8 or 9 sentences, probably too much. So you're going to sit at maybe 2 really fantastic sentences or 3 or 4 smaller ones that basically give us a plot overview and maybe introduce some of the characters that you're going to talk about within your paper. And then, of course, you might want to have a well-defined thesis statement that basically tells us what you're going to prove in the paper about cause and effect-cause relationships. Okay, so that's the first part of that introduction. Then you're going to have 2 paragraphs where you're going to support examples. This is only a 4-paragraph essay, so it's a little shorter than what we've done earlier this year, but it's still going to have plenty of information. Now, one of your paragraphs must show a cause that has 3 effects to it, and the other paragraph is going to have an effect that you link to 3 different causes. So we're looking at kind of the cause and effect relationship slightly differently in each paragraph, where you've got one thing that happens that leads to several different effects, and then of course the opposite, where you have one thing that happens that was caused by a multitude of things, actions happening throughout the novel. And if they hadn't all 3 happened, then possibly this effect would not have occurred. Each paragraph, of course, is going to have a topic sentence that sets up that cause-effect, effect-cause relationship. Each paragraph is going to show unity. So you should have a clear topic sentence and a clear closing statement at the end that ties it together. It doesn't introduce the next paragraph, but ties together the ideas that you've talked about in whichever paragraph that you're dealing with. You'll need details and examples and support from each paragraph, Each point or each body paragraph should have at least 2 embedded direct quotes and 1 summary or paraphrase that's parenthetically cited correctly. So you're going to have at least 3 pieces of information from the text in each paragraph. So you'll have at least 6 total for the paper. And then, of course, once you have done that, you've proven the cause-effect, effect-cause relationships, tied them together, used evidence, and explained, then you'll have a conclusion paragraph. You're going to restate your thesis in new and a different manner. Conclusion should effectively bring the paper to a close without introducing any new information. So make sure that you refer back to what you've talked about, maybe somewhat specifically, but you don't want to reuse quotes, but you want to talk about the details and how one led to another, but don't add any new details in. And then the general requirements. And again, this is a formal paper. So writing in third person, no I, no me, no us, no you, no your, no we, no our, unless of course those are within the direct quotes from the text. The paper must be in 12-point font, Times New Roman. Paper must be double-spaced. Must have a works-cited page at the end. Probably will be simply the text. If you use something else as an attention grabber, you use a definition from an online dictionary, you use a quote from some other source that deals with your attention-grabbing idea, you want to have that in there in your works cited page as well. Paper needs to have very few spelling, grammatical errors. You also want to be free of any contractions, unless of course those are in direct quotes. So no don't, no didn't, no couldn't, isn't throughout. Stay in that formal voice. Avoid abbreviations as well when you're dealing with the language. Stay as formal as you can. Alrighty? The schedule. You guys are all wondering. Today's the 26th. We're introducing the paper. You'll have some time to work on your thesis statement. Work days. Tomorrow, 27th, then Thursday the 28th, April the 29th, and May the 2nd. Should be more than enough time if you're in class every day to get a solid first draft of this paper that it will include your work or works cited page. A rough draft is due to peer edit at the beginning of class next Tuesday the 3rd. So you want to have that printed out when you walk into class. I'll try to be in the LMC, but if we are not, you want to make sure you print it out before you come to class, because we don't want to spend 5 or 10 minutes people running and getting things printed out that should already be done. Then you'll have a work day on the 4th, which is Wednesday, but that's the only work day you'll have after you peer edit. And I will not be looking at any drafts other than the final draft. So you will need to make sure that you ask as many questions during the process to me, and that you give and get some solid feedback during the peer editing session, because you'll only have that one day, and then the paper is due on Thursday, May 5th at the top of the hour. That's the day we're going to begin introducing the mock trial, and so we want to make sure that we don't spend any time talking or working on papers that day, because we're moving on to something else. All right, now format for the essay. If you look at this, basically, and you can switch either one of these around. This could be the first paragraph, body paragraph. This could be the second body paragraph, but you're going to introduce a cause, and then you're going to talk about the 3 effects that it has, or you're going to talk about an effect and the 3 causes. Now, obviously, if you have an effect that happens in the book, it's going to happen probably later, especially if it has 3 different things that cause it. And if you have a cause that ends up having 3 different effects down the line, that cause is probably going to happen somewhere earlier in the novel. You're not going to pick a cause that happens in chapter 5 that's going to end up having 3 effects by the end of chapter 6, although you might. But you'll need to make sure that you're specific about that. Same thing with this. Now, here's a couple of sample thesis statements that I'm giving you, and my expectation is that you work on trying to have a clear thesis statement by the time you walk into class on Wednesday. So you'll see these, and what I've done in each one of these, what I've done in this is, you can see that we have introduced the cause and the effect relationships using that kind of language. I've introduced the name of the novel. I've introduced the author's name. Of course, if you talk about both of these earlier on in your opening paragraph, you'll probably not want to use them there. But it says, in Mice of Men by John Steinbeck, George is forced at the end of the novel to kill his best friend Lenny because, and obviously this would be an effect that has 3 different causes. You'd have to figure out what those causes are. In addition, the character of George continually makes excuses for the behavior of his best friend Lenny. That would be a cause, resulting in effect 1, effect 2, and effect 3. Now you can use this, if you want to use this to write your paper, you can use this word for word, because the hard part's going to be figuring out what these are going to be, and then being able to explain and justify that these things actually caused the effects, or these are effects of a single cause. But this is a basic outline structure of what that thesis statement is going to look like. And notice it's a 2-sentence thesis statement, because you're talking about 2 different cause-effect relationships. Alrighty, so you have got the remainder of the hour to work to come up with a thesis statement. Try to have those by the time you come in tomorrow, because we're going to work on an opening paragraph and attention grabbers when you get in. All right, thanks.